Welcome to our community. Susie Thomas with you this morning. We are so happy to welcome back to the station Jeff Sanders. You probably remember him. He was on in afternoons here for quite some time. And Pastor Jeff, good morning to you.
Good morning, Susie. Thanks for letting me come on today.
You are always involved in interesting things. And right now we're talking about Alice training.
Yeah.
First of all, what is Alice training for the uninitiated?
Well, the people who know me know that my wife's name is Alice, and I am quick to tell them that this is not about training my wife. She trains me. She's trained me well for the past 30 years now. But Alice is actually a program to train businesses, schools, hospitals, law enforcement, and how to respond to, God forbid, an active shooter situation. And Alice is an acronym, and it stands for Alert, Lockdown, Inform, Confront, Escape. Those are your options. You do not have to follow them in that order, but those are the options that you have should you find yourself in an active shooter situation.
Alert, Lockdown, Inform.
Yes.
Confront.
Correct.
And escape.
Yes. Not everyone would want to choose any of those, all of those. Some people don't want to confront, but they can escape. Others can do the alert, and others can do the lockdown, whatever you feel like you're comfortable with doing in the time that you have.
The scary one there is confront. I think maybe the more controversial one is confront.
Right.
So I would think you'd want to get away as soon as possible and call 911.
Hopefully, if you can, please escape. Get out as quickly as you can. The vast majority of active shooters, over 90% of the active shootings in the United States are with a single shooter. Of course, there are some that are not, like the terrible tragedy in Orlando, Florida, or in San Bernardino. And, of course, we have the one that's in a lot of people's minds, Columbine, from almost 20 years ago. You had 2 students who were involved in that. Unfortunately, you have the situation of the church in Charleston, South Carolina, over a year and a half ago, and that was one shooter. Most shooters, you just have one person. And if you can escape, if you can get out of there as quickly as possible, do so by all means. However, you could be in a situation where you cannot escape, and what you would have to do in that case is confront the shooter. And your response is actually faster than a lot of people can pull the trigger. That sounds crazy, I know. By the way, I am a conceal and carry weapons instructor here in the state of Ohio, so I do believe in CCW, and I encourage people to carry wherever it is legal to do so, provided that they have the right training and sufficient training. But if there's a shooter and you have to confront, if you gang the person, they cannot react fast enough to shoot everybody at the same time. And 80% of the people who are shot do survive. So you have a better chance of survival if you cannot escape in actually confronting and ganging up on the attacker and attacking him as quickly as possible with whatever you have
You're
available.
Saying because there's more of you than him or her.
Exactly. You can use anything's a weapon. Everything's a weapon. You can use a fire extinguisher. You can use a baseball bat if you had one in your office. You can use cans. You can throw a radio. You can scream. I mean, everybody ganging up with whatever, chairs and tables, whatever they have, throwing or crashing into the person. This system, Alice Training Systems, is the headquarters is in Medina, just up the road from us, and they provide this training to businesses and schools and hospitals all over the United States and around the world. People like the Cleveland Clinic. The Cleveland Clinic in Dubai has actually had these people come and train them. Our federal government, many departments in our federal government, their law enforcement officers around the country receive Alice training from this corporation, Alice Training Systems. And by the way, I don't work for Alice Training Systems. What I am doing is as a pastor, I am providing a seminar or a place to host the seminar at our church in Perry Township. And we are inviting schools, businesses, hospitals, law enforcement to send people to come to this seminar, which will be Thursday and Friday, July 6th and 7th. The seminar will be both days. You have to come to both days. Okay. It's 8 to 4 each day. And in that seminar, the people will be taught very thoroughly how to respond to a tragic situation such as an active shooter.
And where are these taking place again?
This will be at my church, Grace Family Fellowship. And we are on the corner of Perry and Tusk in Perry Township. The address is 140 Perry Drive, Southwest. The mailing address is Canton, but we are in Perry Township.
Now, I know that people are hearing this and they're saying, oh, July, I've got some time to think about that.
No.
But we need to reserve spots there very, very early. That's why you're here today.
Yes, please let me know as quickly as possible. Actually, what you should do is go to the website, and there you can register. And the website is very simple, alicetraining.com. That's all you need to know, alicetraining.com.
And that'll take us to the right one.
Yes, that'll take it. Yep. All you have to do is just look it up, and it's right there on the website.
You know, I can remember hearing Dr. Ben Carson say something that sort of jolted me back into right thinking, I think.
Okay.
Because people were saying, wow, you think of these shooters going into schools, seeking out Christian kids, saying, do you believe in God? If they said yes, they would be shot.
Yes.
And would you have the courage to say, yes, I do, in that position? And Dr. Carson, a Christian man, said, fight back. That shooter should not be in charge.
Absolutely.
You don't have to answer them at all. Fight back. And I thought, oh, yeah.
Oh, absolutely. What is the most loving thing I can do to protect my family? I don't just invite people into my home. What if to do any harm in my family? But if they crash into my home, what's the most loving thing for me to do? Just let them do whatever they want to my wife and kids?
Exactly.
No, the most loving thing for me to do is to stop the attack using whatever force is necessary. And so I tell Christians a very loving thing to do to protect your families, to protect the innocent, and to defend the defenseless. That's what the police do. That is what the military does, or is what we're all supposed to do. Well, I can't carry a police officer around with me every day, right? I mean, he's kind of heavy, and my muscles are not that big. And I can't have the Marines and the Navy SEALs with me all the time. So we need to be prepared. You're not going to rise to the occasion. You're going to fall back on your training. And not everybody wants to carry a gun. I respect that. I understand that. Not everybody can legally have a firearm where they work, and that's fine. And not everybody has sufficient training. Just because you have a CCW license and a gun doesn't mean you're good enough to shoot a moving target. It takes a lot of practice and skill. So that's where Alice Training comes in, and this does not involve any kind of weapons training. Alice Training is for people who their weapons are not allowed there.
This is an unarmed training. Let's say at
response.
One of our Christian colleges and universities in the area, let's say, because I know that they are looking at having this kind of training.
Yes.
So you're talking about a room full of students, faculty members who are unarmed.
Yes.
What are we taught in Alice Training how to fight back?
You are taught the acronym and how to respond in each situation. Alert, how to alert the proper authorities in the seconds that you have. If you cannot escape to lock down, you will have to shelter in place, and we will show you how to do that properly to repel an invader from coming into your room. You're taught to inform. You don't use cryptic language. You tell everybody on the loudspeaker or on the radio or whatever, on your cell phone or whatever you've got, very clearly there is a shooter and this is what this person looks like or what they look like, what they're armed with, whatever. Confront. You are instructed in several different, very effective tactics on how to gang up on an active shooter. If they're coming through the door, you don't just stand there in front of the gun. You ambush the person, and we show you how to do that. By the way, these tactics work. These tactics work when they are put to use, and law enforcement around the country is using Alice Training because they know they work.
And then the E, escape.
Escape. If you can get out of there as fast as you can. Mm-hmm. People don't realize it is very difficult for someone with a gun to shoot a moving target. Try it sometime. I mean, go out there and try to shoot skeet, okay, or shoot sporting clays. I've tried. I mean, it takes quite a bit of skill. Now, if you have a machine gun, which is very difficult to get a hold of here in the United States, they're very expensive and so forth, you could pray and spray and hit a bunch of targets, perhaps, but it's a lot more difficult than you think it is. And many of these active shooters are not very well trained. And so if you run and get out of there as quickly as possible, you make yourself a very, very difficult target.
We talk about shooters who are not well trained. However, there is a gaming culture that we live in, and often young people who isolate themselves are not maybe socially mature, but they are really good at whatever game they play, a video game they play in. How in danger are we from people, and how much does that feed into this?
I don't put much stock in that, to tell you the truth.
Okay.
I am a firearms instructor, and the shock of the recoil of a firearm, the extreme
Different
noise.
than a toy.
Oh, yeah. It's a whole lot different from a toy. I've taught a lot of ladies, and they are quite – and by the way, ladies are great shooters. They really are. I'm telling you what, because I don't know what it is about the ladies, but they are very, very accurate once we train them properly. Maybe it's the attitude. I don't know. Especially if they're Italian. You know, my wife is Italian, and they just put the edge out there. But when you actually pick up a gun and shoot, and you feel the recoil, you hear the sound – it's a lot more difficult than people think it is, and just learning a game is not the same thing.
We're visiting with Pastor Jeff Sanders. He is going to be giving some Alice training. He's a pastor at Grace Family Fellowship. Training is taking place Thursday and Friday, July 6th and 7th from 8 to 4, both days. So you need to commit to both days.
That's correct.
And go for more information to alicetraining.com. You need to have people signed up by when?
Really by June 1st.
Okay.
Let's say June 1st. I got to know.
So you've only got a couple of weeks.
Yeah, seriously.
Believe it or not, June 1st is around the bend.
Exactly. And I'd like to talk to people who work in hospitals, people who work in nursing homes. Sadly, I have to talk about soft targets. There are terrorists in this country, and they are going to attack, again, soft targets, people who don't expect to be attacked or would not have the means to resist an attack. So hospitals, nursing homes, nursery schools, all the schools, public, private, whatever, area businesses. If you have 20, 30, 40 people on the premises, please take a serious look at this. How would you respond? Do your people know how to respond in, God forbid, an active shooter situation? So please take a look at the website. It is alicetraining.com, and please register with us.
You're talking about some people who are immobile when you're talking about nursing homes.
Correct.
And hospitals. Without giving too much away, because we want to attend the training, how do you get those people to safety?
Well, you will have to, in some certain situations, you're going to have to shelter in place. Mm-hmm. You will have to get them to a situation where, or if my son works in a nursing home, okay, he would have to shut the door, barricade, bolt it. You, sadly, in a situation which takes place in seconds, you can't save everybody. That's the life you live. I mean, that's the hardcore reality. You have to save only the ones that you can save.
Save as many people as possible.
As many as possible. And I would recommend shelter in place, because many of these people in nursing homes simply are not mobile. They can't get up and run. They can't move.
Has our culture responded to this kind of, I'm not going to say epidemic, but there have been more cases of this lately. Are we getting new locks on the doors and making it possible that the teachers have keys, are we responding properly?
It's a mixed bag. There are many people who have awakened and they have said, I want firearms training. I want to be certified to carry. And so, they go and see a CCW instructor like myself. I commend that. There are others who just continue whistling in the dark and they think, oh, nothing bad will ever happen to me. I still believe that our federal government has not awakened to the fact that we are at war with jihadism. And I do not say Islam. I have friends who are Muslims, and they are actually on our side. They have tried to escape from Sharia. They don't want any part of that. But we are at war with people who are jihadists. They want to impose Sharia law upon us by force or by law. And I have actually met with members of the United States House of Representatives and have encouraged them, please declare war. Have a declaration of war on jihadism. And what is jihadism? That is the imposition of Sharia by force or by law upon the United States. And we should expel by whatever force is necessary those who propagate this belief. We need to be on offense and root these people out. Now, our federal government hasn't done that, which tells me that we're still not taking the threat seriously. Then, of course, we have our own homegrown nuts, okay, like Dylan Roof down in Charleston, South Carolina. How do you stop that ahead of time? Well, I don't have an answer for that. I mean, you can't get inside everybody's head. Dylan Roof was not going to a place of worship where he would go and receive instructions.
Right.
Okay? He cooked up his own twisted mentality pretty much on his own, or maybe going to certain websites or whatever. I don't know how to stop that. I do know how to respond once the heat is on.
But it is important when someone gives signals of not being okay, take threats seriously.
Absolutely.
And parents, be on the lookout. If your child is really going a weird direction, take that seriously and intervene and be a parent.
Look at Columbine. Look at Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold. Who saw that coming? Well, some people did.
Yes.
But they didn't say anything.
Right. We're going to take a break here. Speaking with Pastor Jeff Sanders, we'll be back after these words. You're listening to Our Community.